We're kicking things off with one of the 4 classes you'll be playing as, the Trickster. Healing. Within the brutal and violent world of Outriders, there'll come times where you'll be hurt and need to be healed. The key thing to note here is that there aren't any quick fix health potions or magic spells, but playing offensively restores HP instead. Your best chance at survival may actually be to teleport to where the fighting is thickest. Taking your enemies down is the key to keeping you alive. Unique to the Trickster, they get healed when killing enemies in close range, and they also get shields. Let's explore 4 out of 8 total powers the Trickster has at their fingertips. The Trickster will feature an additional 4 powers on top of those that we're talking about today, but we'll showcase these later on. Power 1, Temporal Slice. This will be the very first power you unlock as a Trickster, and it's the class's bread and butter. All enemies hit by the slash will be temporarily paralyzed, which is displayed by their skeletons becoming visible and their movement greatly slowing down. Slowing enemies down is a key Trickster skill, as it allows you and your squad mates to pour lead into any enemies caught in the effect. The Temporal Slice is especially effective in combination with other skills that cluster enemies close together. The slice will affect all enemies and allow for maximum damage and kills, which can easily heal a nearly dead Trickster back to full health thanks to the mechanics. Power 2, Borrowed Time. Upon use of this skill, you will instantly gain a percentage of your maximum health as a shield that absorbs damage before your health is affected. Additionally, using the power will create a time clone of yourself in the location that the power was used. You can thereafter freely move about and engage the enemy, or set up a trap. But using the borrowed time again when your time clone is still active will teleport you back to the time clone's location. Should you be going into a high-risk combat situation, you may want to use this skill as your quick escape from danger. Just when you're about to die, you can teleport to safety. Power 3, Slow Trap. This power will create a dome around you that slows down enemies and enemy projectiles while still allowing yourself and your allies to move at normal speed. Think of it as your own personal bullet time bubble. This is a skill that can be used both offensively and defensively. Alter your Trickster. Each class has a tree of class point nodes that you can activate to alter the way your build and skills work. Class points are acquired by leveling up. You won't be able to fill out the entire class tree, but you will be able to respec your nodes to change the way you play. The 3 branches for the Trickster link into the class's fundamentals: movement, damage, and disruption, with each branch providing both major and minor passives. In the Trickster's case, these 3 branches are called Master of Space, Harbinger, and Assassin. There are elements of the fundamentals in all branches. They're intertwined and you can cross-link them to your personal needs and wishes. The Master of Space branch will generally provide bonuses while the player is moving and improves your close combat effectiveness. Nodes here will enhance your damage with shotguns and SMGs when you use movement-based skills. The Harbinger is the tank path of the Trickster. This path focuses on providing damage mitigation as well as shield bonuses to provide maximum survivability. And the Assassin branch focuses on skill damage output. Several nodes here provide bonuses when you use damage and movement skills, and the path provides additional anomaly power and skill leech options. Additionally, the equipment you use may impact the way your skills work. An equipment's passives might reduce the cooldown or duration of a skill, or they might alter it on a more vital level. Taking a look at our next class. Crank up the heat because it's the Pyromancer. Fundamentals. The Pyromancer has 3 core fundamentals that underlies each of their powers. These are Explosive, Immobilize, and Ignite. The Pyromancer is focused around thermal and fire-based powers and effects, which you can even see in the class's melee attacks. Your standard melee attack will deal fire damage to anyone it hits, while also inflicting extra effects as well, healing. As with all of the classes, there are no quick fixes to retaining health. You need to play aggressively to restore HP. In the Pyromancer's case, they can be healed if an enemy dies while marked by their skills. Any Pyromancer skill that damages an enemy will mark them for a set time. This means that Pyromancers can get maximum healing from affecting the greatest amount of enemies possible, and then also ensuring that those same enemies meet a swift death. Powers. Many of the Pyromancer's powers inflict a status effect called Burning. This sets enemies on fire and provides a nice bit of damage over time. However, inflicting Burning also momentarily stuns enemies and can be used as an interrupt. Power 1. Thermal Bomb. Thermal Bomb will set an enemy ablaze and deal additional damage to them over time. If an enemy dies while under the effects of Thermal Bomb, they'll rise into the air and explode in a gory mess, dealing damage to a large radius. You don't have to be the one to land the killing blow either. You can tag an enemy and have a fellow Outrider kill them, which will still trigger the Thermal Bomb going off. Power 2. Ash Blast. Using this skill will apply the status effect Ash to all enemies in a large radius. Ash prevents affected targets from doing anything at all for a few seconds, immobilizing them in a suffocating cloud of dust. Power 3. Heatwave. This is one of the earliest powers you unlock. As the Pyromancer is a medium-range class, you'll want to maintain a little bit of distance between yourself and enemies, and Heatwave is perfect for this. If enemies, particularly melee attackers, try to rush you, Heatwave will provide you with the space you need to be most effective at scalding them into crispy giblets. Heatwave's secondary effect shouldn't be forgotten either. The burn status effect will deal damage over time to all affected enemies, which may well help give you a nice burst of healing if they feel the burn a little bit too literally. Power 4. Overheat. Overheat may only deal a small amount of damage to enemies within a large radius, but it does deal extra damage to enemies that are currently burning, making it a great follow-up skill. Alter your Pyromancer. Each class has a tree of class point nodes that you can activate to alter the way your build and skills work. Class points are acquired by leveling up. You won't be able to fill out the entire class tree, but you will be able to respec your nodes to change the way you play. The 3 branches for the Pyromancer are Ashbreaker, Firestorm, and Tempest, with each branch providing both major and minor passives that affect your character's type of damage focus and survivability. The Ashbreaker branch will generally provide bonuses when dealing damage against marked enemies, while also providing a boost in anomaly power. The Firestorm branch is a path focused on maximizing the damage output of skills. This path will allow you to increase your anomaly power, your burning damage, and the skill damage you do on marked enemies. The Tempest branch, on the other hand, helps you fill more of a tank role. The path focuses on maximizing your health bonus and reducing the damage you take from certain sources. One of the more unique passive bonuses you can activate on this path is an automatic revival upon death. That's pretty handy. Additionally, the equipment you use may impact the way your skills work. The gear you equip might reduce the cooldown or duration of a skill, or they may alter it on a more fundamental level. The Devastator is focused around gravitational and earth-based powers and effects, centered around 3 core tenets: kinetic, protection, and seismic. Its melee type is slightly different from the other classes, as it inflicts the bleeding status effect onto enemies hit by it. Bleeding deals damage over time to afflicted enemies. Healing. Devastators recover health when enemies perish around you in close range. Now, we know what you're thinking. Sounds similar to the Trickster, right? Well, there are actually some key differences between these close quarters killing machines. At base level, the difference is that Tricksters get shields for each close range kill, and Devastators just have more HP and armor as standard. But they start to differentiate the more upgrades you get. When upgraded, Devastators can achieve bonuses to armor and health by choosing specific class tree paths and nodes. For example, stealing enemy armor for each enemy slain in close range. An upgraded Devastator will most likely have the most armor and health buffs out of all of the classes. These mechanics mean that if you want to be an unstoppable juggernaut as a Devastator, you will need to keep chasing into the heart of combat. making sure you're always in the thick of it if you want to maintain your health. Powers. Each class has 8 powers in total. You'll start with a single power and unlock more as you level up. Power 1. Gravity Leap. Upon using Gravity Leap, you will jump into the air and hover there for a few seconds. Activating the power once more whilst targeting an enemy, which will be highlighted in yellow, will cause you to slam down on them, dealing area damage to all nearby enemies. This is an excellent option for quickly launching yourself into the thick of the fight, or maybe exiting combat to isolated, far away enemies. This is also an interrupt skill. That means that you can use it to prevent bosses from channeling their own skills. Power 2. Reflect Bullets. Using Reflect Bullets will activate a shield directly in front of you. While the shield is up, any bullets fired at you will get caught in the shield, preventing all damage. This makes it a great skill to cover your allies while they get into position, or during a team charge at the enemy. However, it isn't just a defensive skill. When the skill duration ends, or when you activate the power again, all of the caught bullets will be sent flying back at nearby enemies. Power 3. Impale. When using Impale, you select an enemy to interrupt them. This is highly effective when dealing with bosses and their pesky skills, but is also a very useful ability for dealing with mobs too. If the damage dealt by Impale is lethal, the enemy will be speared by a stone spike, granting your squad an armor bonus and health regen for 9 seconds. Impale also has 7 potential modifiers that could be applied to it through gear. For example, the mod Spike Forest, which can be found on a legendary gear set, means that Impale can strike 1 additional target. Safety in numbers. I don't think so. Power 4. Endless Mass. Endless Mass releases a spinning obelisk, which sucks all nearby enemies towards its gravitational center. Endless Mass is a hugely versatile skill, and will likely form at least part of your strategy when playing with friends. The ability to draw large numbers of enemies into a tightly packed clump means that most other targeted skills, from both Devastators and other classes, can be used to gargantuan effect. As mentioned, these are only half of the Devastator's skills. Subscribe to keep in the loop about the other 4. Alter your Devastator. Each class has a tree of class point nodes that you can activate to alter the way your builds and skills work. Class points are acquired by leveling up. You won't be able to fill out the class tree, but you will be able to respec your nodes to switch up your gameplay as you go. The 3 branches for the Devastator are Vanquisher, Warden, and Seismic Shifter, with each branch providing both major and minor passives that affect your character's type of damage focus and survivability. The Vanquisher branch is all about grappling up close and personal with the enemy, and thus provides bonuses for weapons like shotguns or assault rifles. The Warden branch will truly move mountains and is the ultimate tank, with very high bonuses to health, armor, and resistances. The Seismic Shifter branch is most useful at mid-range combat, and focuses on anomaly damage for seismic skills such as Impale. This branch also combines very well with the bleeding status effect that Devastators can inflict. Damage over time fans, you're gonna love this one. Additionally, the equipment you use may impact the way your skills work too. The equipment passives might reduce the cooldown or duration of a skill, or they might alter it on a more fundamental level. But we don't want to spoil the fun too much today, so we will showcase these in another video. It's our 4th and final class, the Technomancer. Fundamentals. Technomancers focus their powers around summoning and indirect sources of damage and effects. Spearheading this playstyle are 3 core tenets: Ordnance, Gadget, and Decay. Their unique melee power inflicts the freeze status effect onto those hit by it. Freeze stops an enemy in its tracks, allowing you and your squad mates to focus fire on them. Healing. As we've mentioned in the other class spotlights, the main way to regain health is not via potions or spells, but by playing aggressively. In the Technomancer's case, they recover a portion of the damage they deal to enemies as health. They're a true vampire leech. However, the Technomancer's class passives also increase their damage outputs for both long-range weapons and anomaly power, making sure that the Technomancer's healing passive stays on par with the other classes. Powers. Each Outriders class has 8 powers in total. You'll start with a single power and will unlock more as you level up. Let's check out 5 of the abilities Technomancer has in their collection. Power 1, Tool of Destruction. Tool of Destruction works a little differently to other skills in Outriders, in that it has alternate modes. Activating the skill via button press equips your Technomancer with a rocket launcher, but activating the skill by holding down the button will instead equip a minigun. However, the rocket launcher has the added bonus of interrupting enemies it damages. Power 2, Fixing Wave. For those of you who prefer to play as support or healer to your mates, Fixing Wave may just be your skill of choice. Fixing Wave is a skill design exclusive to the Technomancer, and is the only power in Outriders that can restore health back to yourself, your constructs, and your allies, regardless of distance. Power 3, Pain Launcher. This is one of a number of the Technomancer's construct skills, and will create an automated defense device to damage enemies independently. Conjuring a missile launcher, this will engage in artillery-esque carpet bombing to not only damage enemies, but interrupt them as well. Bear in mind this gadget has a slight setup delay, so you'll need to tactically time it well. But if you pull it off, you can expect to create some awesome combinations with Pain Launcher. Power 4, Blighted Turret. Q Blighted Turret, a skill that places, yeah, you guessed it, an automated turret. But not only does this weaponry pour lead into your foes, it also inflicts the status condition Toxic. This deals damage over time and can be used to whittle down their health with hit and run tactics. Power 5, Cold Snap. Cold Snap is a large area of effect skill that will freeze all enemies in place. In an offensive scenario, you can use Cold Snap to wreak havoc with your other skills or regular weapons, especially if you manage to catch enemies when they're clumped together. Defensively, Cold Snap will help you prevent melee attackers from swarming you and getting too close. This is particularly useful for players who prefer sniper rifles and long-range combat. And bear in mind, the Technomancer will feature 3 more powers on top of these first 5. Endless opportunities for computer-based carnage. Alter your Technomancer. Each class has a tree of class point nodes that you can activate to alter the way your build and skills work. Class points are acquired by leveling up. You can't fill out the class tree entirely, but you will be able to respec your nodes to mix up your playstyle. And there are no costs or penalties. Respec your tree at any time. The 3 branches for the Technomancer are as follows: Pestilence, Tech Shaman, and Demolisher, with each branch providing both major and minor passives that affect your character's type of damage focus and survivability. The Pestilence branch flows best with your decay skills and weapons. It's all about increasing the damage you do with guns and provides great bonuses, particularly to sniper rifles or assault rifles. The Tech Shaman is more focused around indirect damage and will boost your turrets, freeze effects, and healing. Notably, the overclocked passive node here will increase your damage significantly whenever you activate gadget skills, but it will also grant you a second chance. The Demolisher path will synergize with the greatest amount of your skills, and nodes here will mean that using your ordnance or gadget skills will impart a host of bonuses and buffs to you, as well as boost your toxic effect damage. Notably, this path also has a node which will inflict toxic on all enemies that you freeze with your melee attack. As well as this, the equipment you use might also influence the way your skills work. The equipment passives might reduce the cooldown or duration of a skill, or they might alter it on a more fundamental level.